Memphis track boy, let's go, let's go, let's go.
My Colorado swing, my Colorado swing, my Colorado swing.
Welcome into a new BuffStampede Radio. Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com. Joined again by football analyst William Gardner. It's been a long time, William, since we've taken a week off from this podcast, and a lot of that's on me. We hit 4th of July weekend, and then I went off to Big 12 Media Days, but it's great to reconnect because we have a lot to talk about in this show.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes things come up with a holiday weekend. You had things going on. I had things going on. You know, life happens. It's not just all football 24/7. I don't know. So anyway, we're back.
The problem is I work for 24/7 Sports, so it's hard to skirt around that, right?
You know, when you check into the Zoom thing, it lets you put your name up there. And so, you know, I usually have William Gardner up there. Today I was thinking about I might just put up Leroy Brown and throw people for a loop. But probably nobody's old enough to watch to know that reference. I bet you can't know that one.
You got to break it down for me, William.
Bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town.
Okay.
You don't
Is that from a movie?
No, okay. See, I told you, man. It's a great song. It's a Jim Croce song, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so that went over. Tough crowd.
Hey, I want to do. You know, as you get older, you start to like really enjoy learning again, which is kind of strange, right? Like it's like you have this period of time. I think when you get out of school, at least I'm just speaking for myself, where I didn't want anybody to tell me anything for a while. I wanted to kind of figure it out on my own. And then you get a little bit older and it's like, I'm just fascinated by documentaries and nature stuff. Like I'll sometimes go to bed too late, just getting enthralled with one of the Netflix series that's out there.
Yeah, I think also there's a period of most people's lives where we think we know everything too. So
yeah, I realize at 46, coming to be 46, that is definitely not the case, and that you know, you learn that, not to get too philosophical here, William, but like you learn that like if you can't appreciate the journey, you're not going to fulfill happiness in your life. You've got to enjoy that process because so much of life is mundane, but like you can find ways to make it fun.
Well, I'm 60 and I'm still figuring that out. That's been the process of the last year, I think. And you know, setting aside, I think having Coach Prime. I think Coach Prime is a mentor in that area for a person that just takes everything that comes along and makes it positive. So you know, I'm still working on that. I think we're all working on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's at 60, things start to change. Your career's starting to wind down. I don't know, you know, in my case with personal stuff. And sometimes you got to figure out, where do I go from here? Because the plan A has changed. You got to get a new plan B. And sometimes it's hard to see a good plan B, and then you just got to figure it out.
Yeah, no doubt. We will get into Coach Prime and Big 12 Media Days, talk about a little bit more about that as we get later in this podcast. But since our last show, which was done 2 weeks ago down at Casa de Gardner down there, I got a good chance to see all those signs. You got a nice collection. It's on the other wall too. Yeah, you got a lot of fun signs in there. They picked up 5 new commits, right, since our last show?
I think so, yeah.
Is it 6? 5, I think, right? Yeah, 5 new July commits since our last show. And so they're up to 9 total for the class of 2026. And I got to put this out real quick as a PSA because, you know, there's been some salty fan bases here in recent days that have been venturing into my Twitter notifications. It kind of started with Xavier Payne and some, you know, Florida State people chirping. And
it's really only been one salty fan base, and they're not, and they're overcooked roast, which needs a lot of salt.
But yeah, no, there's been a couple. I've gotten some of the haters coming around even after Colton yesterday. It's like, congratulations, now you guys are in the top 100 nationally. It's like, well, if you've paid attention to any of this since Coach Prime got to Boulder, the national prep ranking for Colorado is not going to be what determines if this program is successful or not. They've had the number one, then the number one, then the number two behind Texas Tech overall classes coming in if you include transfers. So you're talking about the total body of talent coming in that matters nowadays, especially in 2025. And so it kind of makes me chuckle a little bit when people get up in arms about where Colorado's prep recruiting ranking is. This is not 2016. This is not 2017. The landscape has changed a lot, and I don't think that it really matters what your prep ranking is as long as you're bringing an overall collection of talent.
Well, I think it's the stupidity of it all is that a lot of people don't understand what it is. Like Southern Cal's ranked number one, but they got 31 dudes, for Christ's sakes. If you look at where CU is, you can look at things by the ranking, But then if you rank it by the average rating per recruit, in other words, if you take each recruit and how highly rated they are, we're fifth in the conference. Okay. And that's the only thing that matters, because BYU's first because they got 20 commits. Texas Tech's got 18 dudes. Okay. That doesn't mean they just got a bunch of extra bodies, many of whom we wouldn't take. So, I even hear some idiot keep saying, oh, CSU has a better ranking than us. Who gives a damn? There's not one guy on their class that we would take at CU. So we're more selective in who we take. And I think also we take people that our coaching staff believes in, and they don't need to be validated by somebody else. So I think we get the guys that fit our program and what we're trying to do, the guys that want to work hard and be part of what we do. So I'm looking at our link. We got 9 commits, and then everybody else has got at least 13, most of them 15 or more. And people are like, well, see, they're doing a lot better than us. They got a bunch of warm bodies. Big damn deal. Who cares? Go through their class lists at Baylor and tell me who they got that we necessarily need. Well, Baylor doing pretty good, but Texas Tech got 18 dudes. They only got 2 4-stars. Guess how many 4-stars we got? Hello.
2.
So yeah, right. So I don't know. Some people just got to complain. Some people, even after 2 years going into year 3, still don't understand and trust Coach Prime. And he's still getting we'll get into more now when we talk about the Big 12 days. But, at some point, and I guess I get it, people are going to say every year there's going to be some damn excuse, this year it's going to be, he was going to leave after his kids leave, and he didn't leave. Okay. And now it's got to prove. Now he only won because of Travis and Shador. And so now he's got to prove to win without those guys, So I guess I get it on some level, but at the end of the day, I think the guy earned a little bit more respect than what most of these clowns are giving him.
Yeah, I mean it's tough when you are kind of a victim to recency bias of just like you just live in like every day there's got to be a new commit, and it's like it gets exhausting at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think it's I don't know. It seems to me like this is that same thing you get in June and July every year. Everybody's bored because there's nothing really happening. And,
yeah.
They want to see 18 committed guys, and at the end of the day, how many of those will actually sign? I saw somebody put up some damn thing about 80% of commits stick. Now we all know that ain't right. I don't know where the hell that number came from, but somebody posted it on the internet, so it's gospel truth now, right? Only time that matters is on that signing day in December. Aside from that, the rest of it's all bullshit.
Today's episode is brought to us by Macaulay Capital Fractional CFO Services. Is your business looking for financial guidance and support, but not yet big enough to hire a full-time CFO? Well, we have a solution for you. Hiring a fractional CFO who can work with your business on a part-time basis. You get the benefit of having a seasoned financial expert on your team without the commitment or expense of a full-time hire.
And here's the best part. It's likely that a partnership with Macaulay Capital will be a win-win situation, meaning that your business will make more money from the guidance of a fractional CFO than the total cost of partnering with us. For more information or to set up a meeting, please visit MacaulayCapital.com. That's MCCAULEY Capital.com.
William, everybody that listens to our podcast knows that we love the Hungry Toad. They've been bringing a taste of England to Boulder since 1991. At the Hungry Toad, they serve up hearty homemade fare from their scratch kitchen paired with a brilliant selection of British beers. They're the perfect spot for friends and family to gather, relax, and enjoy the warm, welcoming atmosphere. If you're mad for football, so are they. Whether it's the American gridiron or European footy, they proudly support CU football and CU women's soccer. The Hungry Toad, Boulder's local pub that's not on Pearl Street. Head to 2543 Broadway in Boulder.
And you know what? Hans Serrata don't take no whoopings either. He hands them out. How's that for a second?
I love it. I love it. Well, let's start out here going down the list of the new commits. We're going to go in oldest to newest commit. And let's start with linebacker Colby Johnson from Washington. He had Arizona and San Diego State as his other finalists. When you kind of look at the competition that Colorado had for Colby Johnson, it's a little less here in this case than the other guys we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts. He's 6'2", 200, so they're definitely looking at more speed than bulk at this stage of his career in terms of kind of what they like.
Yeah, it's funny, you go back 10, 20 years and that kind of size as a safety, and nowadays you got to have guys that can get out there and play that outside sort of field linebacker guy, can run whatever, and 6'2", 200, he's plenty big enough to put on more size as he gets here, but he's a kid that can run. Was not as highly recruited as some of the other guys, but I think our staff took a look at him and thought he fits. And somebody made a point on our board about the three linebacker commits we have all have a different set of skills.
Definitely, yeah.
All three of them fit a different notch than the other ones. I don't feel like I'm making myself clear on that, but Colby Johnson is a whole different guy, than Rodney Colton or Carson Crawford, and he's not going to be to smash you in the face between the tackles guy for sure. So he's going to play out in space, I think, and cover guys and do things like that, and give you some other options on defense. So I think he's a good addition. Not the highest rated guy we'll have this year, but a really solid addition. And clearly they're going after linebackers this year, and they want to fill that room up with younger guys. And so I'm excited to have him.
Yeah, it's hard to say if he's going to be an inside or outside backer. I kind of envision, tell me what you think about this, of what they tried to turn Trevor Woods into last year in terms of being a kind of a situational dime backer out there. I could see Colby Johnson being that pretty early in his college career, as well as especially those linebackers. When you got the speed that he does, he clocked in at 10.87 seconds in the 100-meter dash. That's special teams written all over it right there as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a kid that can run. And Livingston seems to have, he sort of schemes his play calls towards the down and the distance and things like that. And so, you saw our two, we played mostly with two linebackers, and then we went in the nickel. But Colby Johnson gives you the opportunity to put a little bit bigger guy out there. And I don't know that he's going to play that same kind of role that our two primary inside backers did last year, which is sort of the complementary inside guys, and I don't know, one way I sort of describe it is they used to call it like traditional two inside linebackers, and you got to run to the right or the left, and you got truck and trailer. You think about a semi, you got a truck and you got a trailer, right? And the trailer kind of goes, and then two guys work together like that, whichever direction they go. He's not going to be one of those two inside guys. He's going to be one of those more, long distance passing down kind of linebackers that you could put out there, and he can cover all kinds of roles.
Yeah. Xavier Payne, an offensive lineman, was the next to commit to Colorado since our last show. He did so on July 7th. Former Florida State commit that also took an official visit to Syracuse this summer. Originally from New York, played his junior season at Orlando Jones as the starting left tackle there and led them to an appearance in the Florida 4A title game. What are your thoughts here?
Well, he's a massive guy. 6'7", 320. He kind of brings everything to the table. He's got fantastic arm length. Which is really, people don't understand that the length of the arms is really key at tackle. To keep guys off of you, and that's what makes up for the. You talk about athleticism at an offensive tackle, and whether you're talking Jordan Seaton or Nate Solder, who was a freak athlete, they're still less athletic than the guy across from him. Always will be. So you make up for that with arm length, right? You keep a guy off you and you make him go farther around and he can't get there. So Xavier Payne, I think, has got a little bit of everything. He can push people around in the run game. He's got that kind of a size. He's got athleticism enough to play. Quite frankly, he can play all 5 spots on the offensive line, but he's clearly in line to be a tackle with his height and length, and he's got some nastiness to him. Got, I don't know, something like 20 or 30 Power 4 offers, and
34 overall offers, very long list. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody saw him and everybody wanted him, and we got him and he liked our program. And, I think he's going to keep filling in that tackle pipeline of young guys, with Seaton and Smith and now him, and I don't know, I think you only really need 2, maybe 3 offensive linemen in each high school class in the new era, because you got a base of about 10 to 12 guys, and you just fill in a few other guys from the portal every year. But Xavier Payne, to me, is every bit as good as Carday Smith as a tackle prospect. Very different prospect. Carday Smith is very smooth and athletic, and Xavier Payne is a big damn bruiser. So really a good fit in there for us, and I like that addition a lot.
And he embraces being an offensive lineman. You see some of the pictures from his official visit where he's got his belly hanging out.
Yeah, well, he's 6'7", 320. And now.
No, I love it. Hey, man, embrace the role. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You look at pictures of NFL offensive linemen, there ain't no freaking 6-packs in there, man. Well, they're 6-packs, but they're not in the picture. They got bellies. That's what they got, and you look at Jordan Seaton and he now looks like a bodybuilder, and that's not the typical looking offensive lineman.
Yeah. I was going to say, you said that the offensive linemen are never as athletic as the guy across from them. And I would agree with you. I am curious though, Jordan Seaton might be the exception to that rule this year.
No, he's not.
No? You see some of the footwork drills he does?
I know, but he's less athletic than Nate Solder. Nate Solder was an absolute athletic freak, and he still wasn't as those guys that play outside linebacker and defensive end at this level are ridiculous athletes. And that's not a put down on Jordan Seaton by any way, shape, or form. He's probably the most athletic tackle in the country this year, but he's still going to be less athletic than the guys across from him, because that's what plays defense. That's why you're on defense, because you're big and you're athletic and you can move. But his athleticism plus his work ethic and everything else that he brings to the table is what's going to make Jordan. I don't know. We'll get to this, I guess, at some point. It's kind of jackass ridiculous to me that these idiots put him as second team all Big 12. There ain't a better offensive tackle than him in the Big 12. There may not be a better offensive tackle than him in the country. And we're going to see that this year. I think the only thing he's lacking so far is, haven't been seen enough. And, like he's been seen in 12 games last year and 14, 13 maybe. But the first 6 or 5 or 6 or 7, he was still learning the position. He's going to come out this year knowing the position, and he's going to jack people around. It's going to be either beautiful or ugly, depending on which side of the stadium you're sitting on.
Good way to put it. Well, I can say that I voted on the Big 12's preseason media poll, and I had Jordan Seaton on my list, and he was part of that list. So I did my part. I can't speak for all the preseason publications out there, but I would agree. He's got to be on that first team list if you've been paying attention. You talked about Carday Smith. Yeah, you got Chauncey Gooden as a young guy in this program. Yaya Atia. And Xavier Payne is the first O-line commit in this class. So you're kind of building this next group of guys. I feel like we'll see what Walker Anderson brings to the mix coming in from UCLA. And we know Jordan Seaton's going to have at least one more year in 2026. So you like that core. You might not have to hit the portal quite as much this coming off season.
Yeah, because you look at this year, we got 8 guys in their last year of eligibility on that offensive line. And then we got Mana Taimani, Larry Johnson, Andre Roy got another year. And then, like you mentioned, the other 5 guys. And that's those 5, 6, 7, 8 guys is a pretty darn solid base of dudes, man.
Yeah.
So we'll have to bring in 4 or 5 guys from the portal, I think. But the year after that, if we can get a couple of guys here, and I think I'm fairly confident we'll get at least a couple more offensive linemen in this particular class, and then that'll fill up that pipeline where you only need maybe 3 or 4 guys out of the portal every year.
Next to commit to Colorado was go ahead.
And it just occurs to me to say that Xavier Payne is also one of those guys that's going to be ready to play in year one. Not technique-wise necessarily, but he's got the lead and the shorts and the size and the strength and the power to be able to play. And I'm not guaranteeing that he will, but he'll be ready early in his career.
Linebacker Carson Crawford committed to the Buffaloes on July 10th. He's a top 100 Texas recruit from one of the best programs in the Lone Star State. Carthage was previously committed to Texas State, also strongly considered Houston coming down the stretch with his recruitment. I got to tell you, William, this is my favorite recruit in this class.
This is the guy. You watch this guy's film, and my jaw just drops. I mean, this guy, he can run. He hits like a truck. He never quits. He just pursues, like one of them darn dinosaurs in a Jurassic Park movie, man. He just this guy, how he's not rated higher is mind blowing to me because he's at an 88. And he should be a 90 and a 4-star.
Even his offer list is very light for somebody with that type of film. And I get he's 6'3", 215, so he's definitely not the biggest, thickest recruit out there. But that motor is something you can't coach. You cannot coach that motor.
6'3", 215 is basically average size for an inside backer in 2025, especially coming out of high school. You're not seeing the 235-pound bruisers that you saw 10 and 20 years ago. This guy is the prototype inside linebacker to me, and I think he's going to be the guy. He's coming in to me. His high school film reminds me of Nate Lamon. And he was lightly rated too. And didn't have a lot of offers. And this guy plays like that, and so I'm as excited about Carson Crawford and I know he's, and we haven't got to the top rated linebacker commit yet, but this is the guy I'm keeping an eye on because I think he's going to be playing well and early.
Yeah. It's crazy what he did in the Texas 4A D2 state championship game, helping them to a championship. He played linebacker, edge, nickel, cornerback, running back, receiver, H-back in that football game.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. He's like their version of Travis Hunter, and just plays everything all the time. And I don't know. I guess maybe playing at that smaller level hurt his visibility. I don't really know, but there's nothing.
No, they get that high school gets a ton of notoriety out there. So, but. Wouldn't you say this is like one of those guys where like the floor is so high that it's a no-brainer to take him? what is that ceiling? Maybe it's not Nate Landman, maybe it is, but the floor is going to be there based on the effort, and he's going to be a stud on special teams from his freshman year on.
Well, he's also got. I'm just looking at a little bit of his film right now, and he's got beautiful technique. He uses his hands well. He gets people's hands off of them. They split him out wide. Out here he's covering a receiver on this play, and he drops into coverage, interception. He rushes the passer. He's tough in the middle. I think he plays a little more outside probably than inside, but he's just the kind of guy that disrupts everything that happens. It's beautiful. Sets an edge right here on this play. Okay, I'm just going to go on narrating this film here unless we move on. So
okay.
But there just really isn't anything that he doesn't do well out there, and I don't know where the ceiling is. You don't know where anybody's ceiling is. Nobody would have imagined Nate Soldier or David Bakhtiari would both be the best left tackle in the NFL someday. That's where they ended up. I think we all expect that from Jordan Seaton. But you take a kid like Crawford and it's almost like it's nearly a can't miss like Jordan Seaton to me. Not in the same way where he's clearly a future first round draft pick. But the other thing about Carson Crawford, is like it's verified by people that we both trust that he really is 6'3", 215. He's not going to come in here and show up and turn out to be 6 foot and 190 pounds. He really is the size he's listed at. So I think he's a super exciting recruit, and the people that are only going to look at offer lists and stars and stuff like that are going to discount him, and they're going to be wrong.
Colorado got a commit out of Florida from DeMontre Sims on July 10th. And this was somebody that was committed to Missouri initially. Final decision came down to CU, Louisville, and Georgia was in the mix there as well. Sees the Buffs as just the best opportunity. 30 total offers, 6'1", 195. Thoughts here?
Yeah, and he's another one. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I don't understand why this guy's an 86 and 3-star because, he's 6'1", basically 200, and had all those offers, was committed to the SEC, and this kid can flat out play. I mean, this guy, everybody in the country wanted him. I don't understand why he's not closer to a 90 rated 4-star, but this is a fantastic pickup and another kid who on the back end of the defense is going to step in early and really have a big impact on the defense. And I think, I don't know, if you're not going to give Coach Prime credit for knowing what a good defensive back looks like, then I give up, because I think they look at this kid and they see what I see, and he's an outstanding prospect and just going to be, if all you want to look at is numbers of stars, 4s and 5s, then I guess you're not going to be happy. But if you can't be happy with DeMonte Timms, I don't know what to tell you.
Again, Georgia in the mix there. I mean, that tells you a lot right there. Was on Armwood High's squad that went 12-1 this past season, made it to the regional finals of Florida's 6A playoffs, and is somebody that you're starting to see, I think, an emphasis a little bit more on the safety position as well this offseason, and linebacker as well, William. We got to get into linebacker Rodney Colton Jr. This is the most recent to commit to the Buffs, a 4-star on both 24/7 Sports and the Composite. You got something else to add on Timms?
Yeah, I just want to say on Timms, the kid comes out of Florida 6A. He's damn near playing college level football already. When you talk about that state at their higher levels, he's playing against fantastic competition and doing a great job. So I think that he's just exciting as well. Yeah.
With Rodney Colton, this is a top 15 ranked linebacker prospect nationally in the 2026 class on 24/7 Sports. Chose the Buffs over other finalists, Ole Miss and Florida State. It took a little while for this recruiting class to gain some momentum, William. If you want to pat yourself on the back, you were kind of leading the charge there. We talked about the patience that's required. Can you get back there? No, not quite.
I think I injured myself, so let's not do that again.
Okay. But our last show, we were like, look, there's going to be a lot of announcements, and I had a feeling this next show was going to be going through a lot of these guys. But Rodney Colton Jr., 33 FBS offers. They've definitely finished this recent stretch here with their official visits very strongly, and there's still a few more that need to announce.
Yeah, and going back just for 1 second to DeMonte Timms, I think people forget that we already have Preston Ashley on board as a 4-star rated safety. And like you said, we're really addressing the safety and linebacker spots in this class. And so Rodney Colton is a guy. Now, I view Rodney Colton as more of that, stand between the tackles and knock people on their backside inside linebacker. He got a little more of that. He's more thick, I think, than Crawford.
Yeah, 6'1", 220.
Yeah, 6'1", 220, and he's a guy. I think he to me is a lot like who am I thinking from last year? Montrez Walker. To me, he's a lot like Montrez Walker, and is going to come in and play like that and be ready early. So he's another guy that's super exciting to have. And you watch him play, and I'm watching his film right now. Oh, Jesus. Okay, like you watch this video and you're like, man, somebody got to call cops. That's got to be an aggravated assault right there. And then he drops back here and has got the leap and the stretch to get an interception. And he's another one that they line him up at inside backer, they line him up outside in the slot, a little bit of everything, and that's the modern linebacker.
Yeah, this staff definitely likes versatility, and this is somebody in Colton Hood. Oh gosh, I got to edit that one out. I'm going to get people mad at me. Rodney Colton Jr., our new Colton. He also returned kicks on varsity, and he plays basketball. So you kind of see the versatility and the athleticism with him. That's kind of a premium this staff puts on guys.
Yeah, and I'm watching one play here where he lines up at the outside linebacker and he pass rushes and he just blows up the running back and makes a really athletic move to make a sack. So he does pass rush as well, so they are looking for guys who can bring all kinds of things to the table. And the nice thing about that, you bring in those kinds of linebackers, and then you don't have to change personnel to change your play call, right? In other words, so you can leave him out there to play the run on second down, and then you can leave him out there on third down and either have him rush the passer or drop into coverage, and you don't have to make wholesale changes and give away what you're doing all the time. Part of the modern defense is disguising what you're doing, both in terms of where you line up and in terms of who you have out there. So the more versatile your guys are, a guy that can play a little edge, stand up, play linebacker, or move inside and whatever, gives you flexibility on the front line. Same with safeties and cornerbacks. The more you guys you've got to play different roles, you can disguise what you're doing out there, because they watch a film and they're like, well, this guy's an inside linebacker. Well, holy crap, here he comes on a pass rush this time. So it really just helps your team in so many ways to get these versatile types of athletes.
Yeah, no question. Definitely a great week for Andre Hart, Colorado's linebackers coach. 3 of the guys we talked about of those new 5 commits were linebackers that he recruited to Boulder. I thought he did a good job with that group last year. I saw some frustration from folks with his recruiting efforts recently, and I think that kind of comes down to, okay, they didn't get like a blue chip linebacker transfer, but he overperformed from a coaching standpoint, I thought, last year, and he's had a good week this week. So let's kind of see how this plays out and see if he makes Reginald Hughes and Martavius French play to their capabilities. That could be a decent duo again this year.
Yeah, well, and all those guys we talked about at that linebacker spot, all 5 or 6 of them, I think, have potential. And so if he gets that potential out of them, I don't know. I get sick of the crying and the moaning, and there's one fool on a board that's always going after Darius Box, and that's idiotic. I mean, the guy's doing a great job, and I think this staff looks at the guys they want, and they pick the guys they want. And we've said repeatedly, I don't know, for the 5 people that listen to us, that this staff doesn't necessarily go after those guys that want all the NIL money.
Well, case in point, Felix Ojo, right? That went to Texas Tech.
Right.
That was shut down by the end of that visit. It was like, no, this is not our guy.
Yeah, right. Because he's not the kind of guy that's gonna fit in. And that's we talk about we always talk about what's our recent thoughts on our strength conditioning work in Boulder, and I don't know, two thoughts come out of it this week is it's just amazing me how hard they work, and there's never anybody sitting around whining and complaining and dropping out or whatever, and I'm not saying Oho would be like that, but we specifically picked dudes who are going to come here and put that work level in, and we're not looking for prima donnas and what have you. You earn the right to be a prima donna in this program.
Well, in even that, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll leave that alone. Travis had a hint of that, but it was always in good nature. Shador too. It's good natured. It's not
right. But they earned it,
yeah.
man. They earned it. I mean, ever since the beginning of sport. Okay, look at Deion Sanders and his playing career, man. He certainly didn't shy away. One of the beautiful things about Deion Sanders is he tells young men, be who you are and show your personality, right? But you don't get to show a damn thing until you earn it, right? So you have a big play out there, have some fun with it. I think the game ought to be fun. I think all the dumb rules that, that penalty on Jimmy Horn Jr., and you know which one I mean, taking away his touchdown. It's just idiotic. I mean, all the things that are killing this sport. And when guys are actually making the damn thing fun, they throw a penalty. So let guys have fun with it. There's no harm in it, but you got to earn it.
Yeah, one of my main takeaways watching these recent videos that come out through Well Off Media, the pregame show, and reach the people with the strength and conditioning work is just the competitiveness of these guys. And I thought it was fun watching Cam Michael and Mantrez Walker kind of debating their high school careers in Georgia, and all those guys are finding out what their rating is on the EA Sports game now. So they're all getting frustrated by not being respected enough in a certain category. I was kind of chuckling at a lot of that stuff.
And I like that they're building a relationship. They're getting a point in their relationship with Coach Swayze too. They give him a little bit of razzing back. They'll make a little fun of him, and he takes it in good spirits and gives it right back. And I just think there's a really good chemistry in that room. And while we're talking about the other thing that I just am repeatedly stunned by is how big we are. We're just freaking massive this year on both lines. It's crazy. I saw in one of those Jaheim Otis was standing next to Cooper Lovelace, and I was like, God dang, these dudes block out the sun, man. Holy cow.
Yeah. Any other takeaways you've had from those strength and conditioning workouts recently?
Well, there was one a few days ago, or I'm not sure when it came in exactly, but right after the break, and Coach Swayze was talking to him about what they're doing right now. And so if you're scientifically breaking down your strength program, you have different cycles during the season, and sometimes you're trying to put on size, sometimes you're trying to build up that power and size, strength and whatever. And typically late summer, as you get into start going to camp, is when you really max out on the power and the strength, and you're really trying to get big. Earlier in the season, like in spring and even winter, you're trying to add some size on in there. And believe it or not, size does not necessarily equal strength and power in terms of muscle breakdown. So there's different things you do to build size, and then there's other things you do to build up size and power, and that's what they're doing right now to go into the season as strong and powerful as they possibly can be. So I didn't have any doubt that he was doing that, but it was fun for me as a strength and conditioning geek to sort of hear a little bit of his philosophy on what they're doing right now in terms of their sets and reps and things of that nature. And like you said, that competitiveness comes in. You see them in the weight room and they're egging each other on, and each one wants to do a little bit more than the other guy, whatever. But the other thing, some of these guys are damn funny. Some of these dudes ought to go into comedy because there's some pretty funny dudes in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of what attracts some of those guys to Coach Prime, right? Is that they love his personality, and
Right.
he's always got the great one-liners, and So it's been fun to see that as well. It definitely seems like the chemistry is starting to come together with this group a little bit, but I mean, it's always kind of the theme of summer strength and conditioning. I don't know if we've ever come on here and said that they're just having an awful off season, and then they get in the season and you start kind of asking guys about the program, and then maybe then you find out that things weren't as good as they looked. But we get more access with those YouTube channels now than we did before, for sure.
And I think after that first season, Coach Prime really and his staff really learned that, if you're going to bring in a bunch of different guys, you got to build that chemistry in a variety of different ways, because they didn't have it that first year and it showed. And so I think it really is there this year. And I think Coach Swayze, one of the things that's different about him, than Coach Mo, is a different personality and a little more outgoing and a little more funny and whatever. But what they're doing in there, and yeah, like you say, everybody's, you're going to get the usual people come and say, oh, yeah, you always say the same things every year in summer. Well, I don't know what the hell you want me to say. I'm just telling you what I see. It's like the same people. It's like the same people crying the blues in June about recruiting. Who gives a damn?
Well, at some point, you're supposed to enjoy being a fan too, right?
Right. God's sakes, man. I mean, holy crap. Some of these people, I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be the fun part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't see me doing a podcast about my damn job. But
they did win 9 games last year. It wasn't a bad season.
I'm like, what the hell, man? And that's 2 years removed from literally and unquestionably being the worst team in college football, man. I mean, it's really miraculous, and yet people still don't want it. A lot of people still don't want to give Coach Prime the credit that he's, quite frankly, freaking earned.
Yeah. No, I think you're right there. So I got a chance to see Coach Prime in person out at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas. The first time he addressed the media since we were, when was the spring game was the last time we talked to him. So I thought he did pretty well. He kind of admitted in a video with Bucky that, hey, I'm a little rusty at this, but Coach Prime being rusty in front of the media is better than most coaches that are on their A game, right?
Well, Coach Prime was born to be in front of the media. I don't think he really gets rusty. It's only rusty in comparison to himself. It's like it's like Michael Jordan was a little rusty in his game today. Well, he's still the best there is. So Coach Prime was just born to talk to people. And he's natural at it. You mentioned it before we started. Some people were talking about that he was sweating. It's frickin' Texas, man. If you don't sweat in Texas, you're dead.
I sweat out there. I actually brought a little fan out with me because I knew that God. I needed a little help here along the way.
There's a reason I go fishing in northern Minnesota, man, and that's it. Okay, I don't go fishing in Texas.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. And he didn't address his health issue. I think what I understand is that he's going to address the team first, and then we'll get more clarification there.
That's the way it should be. Let the team guys know first, and then everybody else can find out. And everybody else can just be patient and suck it,
Yeah. Coach Prime went out of his way to find all the guys that they brought out there, and I'm sure kind of a taxing day on him, just given what he's gone through. And sometimes you lose that stamina to deal with people when you've been kind of laid up a little bit. So I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable for him sometimes how like people overanalyze things a little bit. It's he's like a walking fishbowl, and it's like, just give the man some space sometime. I don't know.
Yeah, it goes with being Prime, and it goes with being the head coach, and it goes with who he is as a personality. And I guess on some level, when you seek, I don't know how to put it, but when you're Coach Prime and you're that Coach Prime is like, you been to Vegas?
Oh, too many times.
And you've seen the Strip, right? It's just big and bright and huge, and it's bigger than life, right? You don't talk about it like at night, or Times. Now you've been to Times Square, right? Yeah. And the same thing, and it's big and it's bright and it's just huge, and that's what Coach Prime is, and it's the larger a body is, the more gravity it has, and Coach Prime has got some gravity, man. I mean, he sucks in attention and media, and it's not because he's out there going, "Hey, look at me! Hey, look at me!" Like you look at the dumbasses on the inbreed Florida State board, and they're like, "Oh, he's just about himself." Actually, he's never about himself. He's just outgoing, man, and he likes people. And when you have that kind of personality, you attract people to you because the media wants to hear you say something. And anytime Coach Prime starts talking, something might happen. So everybody wants to catch it. And so I just think that everybody's looking for a reason for him to fail. Still, it seems like to me.
Not everybody, but
even not everybody. Even in Boulder, there's still people looking for reasons for him to fail. But I think nationally, a lot of people still do, and I also think there's this anti-Sanders family thing out there that I just don't understand, because I have yet to ever see one of them do anything negative or nasty to another human being. So I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, do you have any questions about Big 12 Media Days? I did a lot of recapping, the stuff that we did out there. I'm curious if there's any gaps you feel were kind of left unanswered.
I don't have any questions or anything about that. I think it's laughable to where they have CU rated and where they're listing their players. And on some extent, I get it, because a lot of our players come from other teams or whatever. But I think we have a lot of proven guys. I guarantee you we're going to finish near the top of this conference, man. We're going to be a 9-win team, because you look at the talent on this team, and it's there. The biggest question mark to me is still the play calling on offense. How will that come together? But I can't. It's idiotic to say we're more talented than Shador and Travis, but aside from those two, I think we are pretty much across the board. So we're going to be a better team than we were last year. Coach Prime is, again, I'll say it again, he learns, man. That dude learns from everything that happens. And so he's going to be a better coach this year. He's got a better staff this year. And we're going to be another 9-win team, and it's going to shock the pants off of these fools who have us in the bottom third or half of the conference, and we're going to have a lot of dudes on that defense that are on that final end of the year all Big 12 team, and they're missing, and we're going to have some offensive linemen on there, and they're missing the boat on all these things. So I just think that it's kind of, I don't know, I don't get too into the media days every year, because it's all balloon juice. It's all just, blah, 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 blah. And I just want to get out on the field and start proving it. But what I see on this team is I see a better team than last year.
Well, I was encouraged by a lot of what I saw out there. You got to start with Jordan Seaton and his personality. It's top 10 in CU football history. Like, I think he can already say that. He's got such a magnetic personality. He's a good hang. He's a good dude. Like, you can just tell that he's somebody that lifts people up around him,
Yeah, well, that's just like Coach Prime. He's just a guy that promotes people and builds them up and stuff. I wasn't quite sure what you meant. Like sometimes you talk about that in terms of dudes that are funny or
he's funny. He's got it all, man. He's got a great personality.
You never know what's going to come out of their mouths and all sorts of stuff like that too. And
yeah, he got through the day, I think, without saying anything too controversial. I was a little worried about that just because he is so honest, but he did a great job.
The other thing is in this day and age, it always has been. It's rare to have an offensive lineman be a guy that's talking to the media. Yeah. In my experience, because they're quiet dudes, man. They just do their job. They're not like defensive linemen who want to grab the mic and be heard, And so to have an offensive lineman who speaks out, and every now and then you get one, so
Stephon Nembot was a guy that we always went to for quotes back in the day in Colorado.
Yeah, and who's going to be the guy from what I've seen so far is Yaya Atia is going to be the guy, because that dude's got a personality, man.
He might need a little media training though if he's going out to media days, because you got maybe dial it back just a touch.
Who, Yaya?
Yeah.
It's from London. What do you want?
No, I enjoy his personality a great deal. So we're going to get back into our Top Buffs countdown. William, any last thoughts before we close out this show? we're going to hit record here again soon and start talking about the next guys on the Top Buffs countdown. Just want to make sure there's nothing else on your mind before we sign off and get into that.
I just wanted to get your, there was a lot of talk about taking two quarterbacks down there, and I wanted to know what you thought about it and how it worked out down there, and what you thought of those two different guys and what they two bring to the table.
Well, I think that it was a unique situation in that if Caden Salter and Julian Lewis weren't really close, and we heard Caden Salter talk out there about how it's a big brother, little brother relationship, and then Julian told me that they just don't even really talk football when they're not in the facility. So they have a great bond. That's key, because it could be a little bit awkward, I think, to bring out two quarterbacks in a quarterback competition if those two guys didn't really genuinely like spending time together. And a lot of the time they were interacting with each other. So I think that was you got to have that dynamic if you're going to do that. I think initially I was a little bit surprised, and like maybe like an Arden Walker would be, a better choice, just because you do have this quarterback competition. But Brian Howell made a comment to me when we were doing our analysis video that made a lot of sense. It was, if this really is a quarterback competition, why not see how Julian Lewis handles the spotlight out here? See how he kind of handles being thrust in the spotlight, because Julian Lewis told us after the spring game he was a little nervous going out there in Folsom Field, and that wasn't a packed stadium. So to give him more opportunities to kind of get comfortable at this setting, and certainly he's going to be more comfortable in this setting than a lot of high school guys coming in, because he was a 5-star recruit, but still, I mean, he's 17 years old. So to have these experiences, to get these reps in there, actually, in hindsight, I think it was a really good idea. And I think that, more than likely they're going to need Julian Lewis at some point this season if he's not the starting quarterback. So to get him more comfortable in these settings and see how he handles it, I thought it was actually really good.
Yeah. And on the opposite side of your point about Arden Walker, Arden Walker, to me, is from what I've seen over these last few years, is he's not a guy that needs to be in front of the camera. That is not part of his personality. He's just a grind and hard work kind of a guy, and does a great job on the field. I think Arden Walker is going to be a first-team all-conference guy by the end of this season, and anybody that doesn't see that coming, it just hasn't been paying attention. But I guess my last thought on this is just for our favorite fan out there, I should mention Ryan Staub as our potential starting quarterback.
Okay. I mean, all you got to do is pull up the standing backflip, and that's as much evidence you need to know this is a serious athlete out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But major props to Ryan Staub, because I think that, it kind of saved them from having a dilemma of going into this preseason with just two guys at that position that you'd want to put out there in a game. And remember the first year of Coach Prime in Boulder, when Ryan was a true freshman, I mean, they went with Cold in one game, and it was just, you didn't have depth at the position. So it's a real luxury to have Ryan Staub as your third string quarterback.
Yeah. And, he's a kind of a guy that understands his place on a team, and you need that, and you need guys that are comfortable in that role, working hard, trying to be the number one guy, but being okay with their, where they are. And it's harder and harder in the portal era to keep those guys on the team, because everybody transfers somewhere where they think they can play. Maybe that means to a lower level, but you got to still give kudos and credit to guys who stick it out at this level and have a role to play on a team.
Yeah, I think after that Utah game, he could have transferred and gotten a spot, kind of a la Brendan Lewis going to Nevada or Owen McCown going to UTSA. He could have gotten one of those type of opportunities. So it tells you that he loves Boulder, loves being under Coach Prime, and so that's a good deal. But yeah, I don't think anybody expects him to be the starter. But man, I should do like a straw poll across the conference and like just kind of figure out where Ryan Staub ranks on that third string quarterback rankings, because I can't imagine there's many third stringers in this conference that are better than him.
I have a hard time believing it,
Yeah.
It's like I have a hard time believing the idiots to think that there's three offensive tackles better than Jordan Seaton in this conference.
Yeah.
spoiler alert, there ain't.
We will close out this show on that point from William. Always appreciate it. And again, we're going to dive back into the Top Buffs Countdown. So be sure to be on the lookout for that content. Thanks, as always, for tuning in.